Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wednesday Call Live. Now, let's hear it for our special guest host, Mike and Noelle Lewantowicz.
How's everybody doing today out there in the Alliance world? Glad to have you with us. And by the way, it's still time to call someone else. Get one more. Who else needs to hear something about scaling your business? We're going to talk about what that means. What's it look like? How do you do it? Got people that are in the hunt that are making progress in doing that. So we got some real live examples we're excited to share with you. Grateful that Andy Albright and Jane Albright have laid a foundation for us to continue to grow and scale. And with that, we've also got staff here helping to keep things rolling. I know Andy is out visiting one of our carrier partners today. I've been seeing messages and feedback, and Andy's taking out the carrier be good stick and just trying to beat the carrier into submission so they do what we need to do so we can get out helping some more carriers. Okay, before we go too far, I know we've got Tia Land with us, who's got, speaking of carriers, got a carrier that's pouring more back into us here at the Alliance, and she has got some goodies. I'm going to go ahead and turn this right over to Tia and let her share the good stuff she's got.
All right, guys. So we started a couple weeks ago. This is week number 4, doing a CFG contest. So every application that you submit from now until the end of end of March. Yes, we have like 30 more days. Every week we do a drawing, 3 drawings actually, every Wednesday for $100 each. That's $300 every Wednesday. For every application that you submit, you get a ball that goes in the spinny thingy. Woohoo! So this week, Ella is going to spin and we're going to draw some numbers. Give it like 2 quick spins. Let's get this thing going. Lucky number 1 is 33, which is... Jack, help me with your spreadsheet, man. Technology, you know. Okay. Bridget, Eminem, you get $100. All right, let's go.
Go, Bridget. And while you're doing that, is this for all CFG apps or just the conversion product?
All CFG.
All CFG apps. So whether you're writing the term, the final expense, or the conversion, you have a chance at picking up $100 here.
Yep. And if you are, Jack, will you pull up who's the number 1 this week? So the number 1 top producer at the end of this thing. So out of View from the Edge, we will announce who the number 1 producer is. They get a all expense paid trip to the cabin. Debbie Penn. No, actually, I did this last week. That doesn't mean she's number 1. She's number 1 on this sheet. We'll see. She might be. 154 is our next number. Marisol Diaz! Yay!
Marisol.
Okay, give me one more. All right, last $100 drawing of the week goes to number 113. Andrew Sakaya! Woohoo!
Andrew, way to go. All right, Andrew.
We'll do it again next week.
Bridget, all right, be back. Get more apps in, get your name in the hopper. Let's get you in there. All right, thank you, Tia.
I love it when they draw those cash prizes, right? I mean, that's exciting. The rich get richer. You do what you do, writing business, and then you get another extra $100 on top of that. It's awesome.
There we go. Awesome. Okay. So, guys, we are Mike and Noelle Lewantowicz. We're grateful. I think like this month is my, I hate to say it, I feel old, but my 24-year anniversary of having gotten my license. And working.
Don't say that because I started before you did.
I know. Working with Andy, having been invited to this business through Alex and Jenny Abian, our dear friends, and just people with a gem in business as well. The subject today is scaling. And if I go back to when I first got started, you might have been like me where I was just like, okay, maybe there's a way I can make a few $100s, $500, $800,000 a week, and that was cool. And I was able to get that moving and make it happen. And then as we progressed, they pulled us aside and said, hey, if you don't know this, you need to. Here's how you can scale your income by building up your personal production, but really building up the passive side through renewals and overrides. And that's when like switches clicked in my head and I said, okay, I'm ditching my engineering job and I'm going full time. Okay. So that's a big piece, is just understanding like, okay, we saw that and we doubled or tripled down both our focus and commitment to say, we see this path. So what's nice is, okay, we've got hindsight now of what we've been able to do, and we can share with you, how we've scaled, and we're going to get into how, but just to give you some of the results of what that looks like now is we've built an income that's, it will be in excess of 6 figures and growing and tracking. And we have our eyes inside of that being an
income in excess of 7 figures.
7 figures. Correct.
In excess of 7 figures. You said 6 figures.
Oh, in excess of, I should have said, in excess of 7 figures, to be clear. So over $1 million a year. And with our
get that number.
No, I know. And with our eyes of moving to a crooked number in front of a comma here, and understanding what that looks like and what's been done. But the cool thing is okay, we've done that. And while we do write an application once in a while, my average personal production is probably less than 1 application per month is my average. So, so we're out there and we've built this income that's been scaled up through renewals and overrides, and we're still in the scaling process. We've got ambitions to do more. We're going to cover that. But Noelle, start by sharing if we just took the last few months or last year, things that we've been able to do because we've chosen to scale. We're not going to take, 30 minutes and tell you everything we've got going on. But if we can take 2 minutes or 3 minutes and say, hey, here's the fruit on the tree. Here is the position we're in. Here's some of the choices we get to make right now.
Just since the beginning of the year?
Well, last 3 months, 6 months, I don't know, however far you want to go back, and just whatever's meaningful. What is
I'm trying to remember, but we took Mike and I like to go on trips and do experience type stuff like that. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary together as a married couple, and so we took a trip to Aruba for a week. And we didn't have to worry about our business or anything like that. And we really spent some time just together reconnecting and just enjoying our time there in Aruba. We'd been there a couple times with the alliance of trips, and then we just took this one on our own, and we had good food and just laughed and had fun and relaxed. We still some calls, which is the cool thing about this business. You can still work wherever you are. At that time, we really just wanted to make that time for ourselves to celebrate our 25th. So we did that in October. We got married on Halloween, October 31st. Mike's nightmare continues, right? No, we have a great marriage and a great relationship and a great business to be able to do that kind of thing. So that was in October. In our daughter, some of you may have heard at NatCon, our daughter is on a semester at sea trip. She's a junior at South Carolina University, and she could have graduated early if she chose to, but she chose to take her semester at sea. So she's taking classes while she's at sea, and she's spending time in 10 different countries, I think they're going to. So she got on the ship in Thailand, in Bangkok, Thailand. So Mike and I were like, well, we want to go to Thailand. So we actually took a flight with her and her friend, and we spent some time in Thailand before we boarded the ship, and they had a blast. We had a blast, and we got them on the ship. And then Mike and I spent an extra like 5 days traveling the country, going to Chiang Mai, visiting the elephant sanctuary and things like that. And that was just a really fun. Oh, we went mountain biking, Jake. I almost killed myself mountain, my first time mountain biking, really. And I was texting Jake before I got on bike, because if you want to go about mountain biking, get with Jake Joseph, but texting him, what do I do? I'm glad I did. But we just had a fun time there. So it's just fun to go and do things like that. If travel's not your thing, there are other things you can spend your time and your money at. But again, it's because we've scaled up this business and reinvested back into this business. Talk about some of those things that we've done to be able to get to the point where we can take those trips. And this is on our own dime, our own money, like that outside of the Alliance trips. We have a Cabo trip coming up, by the way. So everybody on this call from now till the end of the year, you can qualify to earn that Cabo trip, which is an all expense paid trip the Alliance has.
In fact, what's crazy is I think when we started taking the trips like this, it was through the Alliance, and we loved it. It kind of opened our eyes to possibilities that we might not have done. But what it did is over time, we said, we like doing this. We want to scale our business up so we can do more of it. And so for us, it was like, oh my gosh, because I think some people, isn't this cool? The company paid for it. I love it. I love the fact we're going to Alaska in June based on last year. But I love the fact that prior to that, we're going to spend 10 days in Austria biking with our family. And then before that, we've got another trip in the mountains in New Hampshire. And somehow we're going to pretend we're working somewhere in the middle of June there. I don't know when, but we might have 3 or 4 days in the United States when we can actually work that month. But guess what? We didn't have to ask for time off. We didn't have to worry about running out of PTO. We don't have to worry about our income not coming in when we're gone. We don't have to worry about our business shutting down because of the way we've structured it. So scaling up, life's scaling up's giving us opportunities. I like the fact that we're funding our kids' education because of what our business has done. That's been powerful. We can cover more things, but just to give you an insight, here's a little picture of what that looks like. Okay, so we're telling you why scale it up.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick is like scaling it up, and what most people that want to do, not most people, but many people, when they start growing a business or doing something on their own, what they're looking for really is time and money. So both things is really what the Alliance has been able to allow us to do in scaling our business up to where we do have time and we do have money, but we also incorporate our business into the things that we do on a regular basis. That's another good thing. I'm not a tax attorney or a tax accountant or anything I say about this right now, but you have the ability to apply some of the things you do in your life as part of your business, and then you can write some things off, get with your attorney and your tax accountant on that. But it's just cool to be able to do both at the same time and then create some time and some flexibility and create the income, right? Because it's one thing to have a lot of money but no time to do anything with it. Another thing to have a lot of time and then no money to do anything with it. So the time and money piece is really scaling your business.
Yeah. So scaling, let's get into what it looks like. So some people say, okay, here I am, I'm just getting started. So scaling, first thing is getting your business to a point where, okay, you're bringing in money and you're feeling good. You got cash flow coming in. And first thing is scaling your personal production. Scaling your personal production, we can get into what that looks like in a second, but understanding it's what do I got to do to invest in myself to get the revenue flowing at such a level that my income is significantly above my expenses, right? We know there's expenses when you get started, whether it's a cost to get a license, some gas, some leads, training. You're going to have some things, okay? And your job is to get your personal production and selling up to a point where it exceeds that. So now it's like, okay, here we're scaling up to here and then scaling more so I can take some and invest in scaling on the building side. Now I have some people say, well, I don't want to go that hard on the building side. That's fine. We'll talk first about scaling on the personal production side. And we've got a couple with us that have done well at scaling their personal production and scaling their business they've not fully arrived, but they're in the hunt and getting results and making big things happen. So I think they're a great example of someone who can look in the rearview mirror and see their progress of scaling their personal production and kind of in the middle of the journey of making big things happen on the scaling of their business. So I'd like to welcome Jake and Ray who are here with us. Noelle?
Yeah, you can go ahead and bring them up here. One tool that Andy Aubrey is so good at, and if you have not done this, I know Jake and Ray have done it, and something to look back on is that financial independence engine. If you go to the Alliance University, I think it's 112. There's a course in there that he talks about the financial independence engine, and really what that is. And Andy Riddle and his team were on the call last week or before last, I think, and covered the financial independence engine. But really what it does is it helps you think about where your money is going, and then where do you need to put more money into your business to drive the passive income up. And so that's what Ray have done a really good job at that. They're still working on it. Mike and I are still working on this, right? So we have not arrived yet, but we're getting better and better every day. So yeah. Jacob Ray, why don't you introduce yourself to the Alliance family today?
Hey, what's up, Mike and Noelle, Alliance family? Thank you for having us on here. We work every day to emulate your guys' business, your guys' relationship with each other, and the relationships you have with your kids. Once you showed me that you took your girls to Taylor Swift, I was like, we got to get Veray and the girls to go see Swiftie. Looked up tickets and we're like, yep, we need a 7-figure income. Let's go. So Jake and Veray out of Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Gosh, it's been 5 years? 5 years. Got back in, October of 2018, I saw the plan for the first time from Miss Noelle Lewantowicz, and it was insane. It changed our lives for the better. And since then, Mike and Noelle and Joseph and so many people have been pouring into us, traveling to Albuquerque and helping us out. But prior, started in a job of construction right out of high school. Didn't have any college education, but just worked my butt off. Grew pretty quickly to where I started leading others in the field that I had. And after 5 years, I got my teeth kicked in pretty good just with life and raising a family and figuring out what I wanted. And I was still young, and I was like, dang, I'm kind of already burnt out. Like, I need something different. And when Jara Gonzalez shared this with us and opened up the door to not even just the insurance industry, but to the people that we met, it was just an instant game changer, seeing a system of support and mentorship that we could follow, and just quickly jumped into it and have been scaling up, over the last years now, and just been loving it. So.
Yeah, Ray, Joseph here. Took the opposite route of Jake. I did go to school. I actually went into the medical field. So I was always working in a doctor's office, wearing scrubs every day. Did that for about 4 years. Also had 2 little ones at home. So, my number one vocation is being a mom and going to school. And then I squeezed in hours at the doctor's office when I could. And I didn't need the money. I was always super grateful. Jake, not that we were rolling in money, but he always did pay the bills. I just wanted to work. I wanted something more. So yeah, just grateful that, a family friend of ours, Jara, opened the door. And, I was thinking back on it just earlier today, actually. And I'm like, man, I'm so grateful that I went and I just had an open mindset. But just like Jake said, I came for the money, but quickly stayed for the people. I got to meet you the second time I had ever been around any of the team, Noelle. We went to our first event in January, and I got to see people walking across stage. I got to meet Joseph Dukes, and I just really fell in love with the family aspect that the Alliance had, because I come from a big on family. My family is very close, and that's just it's what I was missing, being at home with the girls. I just wanted to be a part of something and fit in somewhere. And so when I met the people that were doing it, I knew, like, hey, this is a place that I could call home. So just super grateful for what Andy and Jane have created, because it really is our family.
Awesome. Hey, look, appreciate y'all and what you've done to put stuff together this far. So in terms of snapshot of where your business is at, like kind of give us an idea of personal production wise, how much are you guys writing on a monthly basis? What's your cash flow from your personal production look like on a typical month or on a high end as well?
Yeah. As far as from a business standpoint, I know our organization is doing well over 100,000 a month in premium. Personal production is anywhere consistently between 15 and 20,000 a month, and personal production cash flow is right around 10 to 12,000 a month on the personal production side.
Okay, and we're going to go ahead.
Sorry, we'll have higher months for sure. We'll have, but I would say closer to about 20,000 a month average for personal production.
Okay, there we go. So 20,000 a month. What's the biggest month of personal production y'all have had?
I think it was like 56,000.
So you've done 56,000 in a month. So, all righty. So I think that's important for people to see. Hey, y'all, while you're building your business, you're keeping it stay in this 15 to 20 range, but you'll have some months you pop up, do 30, 40, 50. So that's good for people to understand. Okay. We've talked about what we see as, hey, if you're going to scale your personal sales, if you're starting from zero or wherever you're starting, you're saying, here, it's time for me to scale up. We've identified some of the things that we know we've had to scale up, and we're going to suggest you focus on scaling up. T, if you want to bring up that slide where we're talking about scaling your personal sales so people can see that, that'd be helpful. And I think one of the first things when people get going is I think sometimes we jump in and we think, oh, this is going to be easy. I had somebody recently, they had like 3 warm market appointments and sold 2 apps in each and wrote 6 applications in warm market, which we're fired up for. But then he got to dialing leads and it was like, oh, this is going to be a little more work. And maybe it wasn't as easy. So the key is I just tell people, look, it's going to take activity and you're going to have to scale your activity. Maybe it only took you 6 dials to book some more market appointments. You might have to go up to 200 or 300 dials a week to get your skills right. But Jake, talk a little bit about your growth and activity, maybe where you started and what you had to do to scale up your activity to get the results you wanted.
Oh, man. Why did you pick on me? I mean, I love it. I embrace the fact that I embrace the suck, as I remember Joseph taught me, is embracing the suck, because it's been a story that I've been able to share with our team, because not everyone just jumps in and is just amazing at this, right? I almost hope people get their teeth kicked in, because we're looking for grit. Not just being, just walking on rainbows, right? So the activity side for me is so important because, when I started, if you had a bird's eye view at me sitting in my office, which was a closet with the doors taken off, and I was just staring at the wall, when I was making phone calls, when I was running appointments, anyone would have safely said, Jake, you got the looks, but man, you should probably just stop doing this. Like, cut while you're like, just stop. Like, it's not going to happen. And it was rough. I remember there was dial days where it was like 500 phone calls just getting beat up and bruised. And with the team, it was, and the support, it helped me a lot. And through the amount of activity, just stepping up the amount of phone calls it took on dial days and the amount of appointments it took, eventually I got to the point where I was catching on, the whole caught, not taught. So you go and you do enough, you're going to get some laydowns, you're going to pick up the low-hanging fruit, and eventually you start to learn the skills. When the whole 40-40 thing came around, I remember there was weeks where Bray was getting the kids ramped up for school, and she was like, I'll help you dial, but you're going to run the 40 appointments this week. And I remember running 40 appointments in a week, and I was walking away with like 1 or 2 apps. I was like, you can have Joseph Dukes. It was nuts. It was nuts.
We were considering Jake be the stay-at-home mom and Bray.
Yeah, I was going to be Dad.
Here's your vote of confidence, huh? You're so good. We want you to not go out in the field.
Yeah, so through enough activity, it was I eventually got to the point where it's now we're unconsciously competent. Like we know now, like last week, we just knew, all right, we needed to ramp up, the amount of premium we submit. So we just doubled down. We ran 40 appointments, submitted 23,000 in premium. And I was looking at it and I was like, I probably worked like 25 hours. Like it wasn't that hard in the field. Yeah. Like just selling, like between dialing, running appointments. I was like, dang, we've gotten to the point where now we're unconsciously competent with this. And it's just a simple fact. If you've got someone who closes 1 out of 5, and then you've got person B who closes 1 out of 50, it's kind of like you'd rather be the 1 out of 5, but the end number is who's going to go see more people. Because if person B goes and sees 100, well, that's 2 sales. But if person A only sees 7, they're probably going to be 1. I mean, which would you rather have? I'd rather have the 2 sales. And eventually through that, you're going to end up having more closes. And so all day long, we'll take work ethic over skill, because we can teach the skill. It's going to be pretty difficult to teach some work ethic. You either have it or you don't.
Yeah. So coming back on that first dial day, because I see some people, you talked about getting to a point where you're doing 300 to 500 dials a week. I know some people, they jump in and it's their first dial day or their first dial session, and we'll call and we'll be like, how many dials do you have? And they'll be like, 13. And they want us to clap for them. And so we do. Oh, good job. You started making dials. We're so proud of you. It's like my son had his first shave. I'm like, blink. Oh, look, it's your first whisker. Congratulations on puberty. It's like, I was like, okay, so we're really nice, but in a group, it's you got to skill up the activity on the dials to get the results and the skills. And then you talked about the way the skills, some people just wish they could have the skills fairy say, bippity boppity boo, and the skills are now with you. But it's going to take you putting enough activity in and putting the knowledge that you've heard in place. It's the application of knowledge. Knowledge ain't power. It's the application of knowledge is power, and getting it out there and developing it in the field and using it's what's going to get you good, whether it's your phone skills, your in-home skills. So I think you kind of alluded to that. I want to switch over along that same thing.
I want to real quickly. Did you start full-time in this, Jake, or were you working a job first?
Oh, no, I started part-time. I was working a job. I was working 60 hours Monday through Friday. And then Mike told me to put my big boy pants on and start telling my boss no, that I couldn't work construction on Saturdays. So that way I could go sell some insurance.
I think it's a big key, because a lot of people on this call today are working full-time jobs. They're not yet out of their job, or, they like their job and are doing this part-time. The biggest thing there is scaling up your time that you do have. And I remember when we were running and Mike was running business and was doing this part-time, he would work his 60-hour-a-week job. And then in the evenings or the weekends, he would run his appointment. I was full-time at that time, so I could run anytime I wanted. But he had to very much be, when he was part-time, he was full-time in the time that he had committed. Does that make sense? He wasn't doing other things. He was making phone calls to schedule his appointments or running business in that time. And then as a couple, we knew each other's schedule and what we were doing. So we had to be scaling our time commitment up, especially if you're part-time, because your time matters so much. But then again, when this is your full-time, we say it's our full-time, are we really scaling that time to where it really is full time for you? Does that make sense? Because you could be doing other things and still saying that you're part time. Does that make sense to you, Jake?
100%.
So what did you do? Are you tracking with me? What did you do to make sure that the time you had, because you were working 60 hours or 45 hours or whatever it was, that you were actually full time in your part time?
Yeah. I had to start saying no to certain things. So when I had a coffee break on twice on Thursday and a lunch, and then twice on Friday and a lunch. I had to say no to hacky sack with my buddies at work, and I had to say yes to leads and picking up the phone. So I had to make sure that, hey, any second of time that I had outside of my job, Ray and I both agreed, on that 3-day run, it's like, hey, you're gonna have to put in everything that you do have open. So in the times at work, making phone calls, and then on those Saturdays, making sure I had a full schedule, and was committed to making sure, because if I was going to be taking that time away, I needed to make sure I was every second in front of a family talking about insurance. I couldn't not be in front of someone talking about insurance.
Yeah, his Saturday major checks. I mean, his Saturday, he'd make double time on Saturdays. So most people, after 40 hours, time and a half. Well, he was making time and a half every day after 8 hours for 4 hours, but Saturdays was double time. So I'm like, we both agreed, you're not getting pulled away from Saturdays unless we're making money with insurance. So just really had to make that count.
That's big. So we go scaling activity and scaling your skills by getting the right amount of activity and having more time to apply income producing time. I think that's key. Income producing activity time. Are you going to have to do some paperwork and studying? Yes, but you've got to make sure that you're scaling your time for income producing activities. That's a big thing for your personal sales. Okay, next, leads. We say work times leads times communication. So talk a little bit about how you guys scaled your lead flow up. Where did you guys start on the lead flow side? And, kind of quick, fast forward on where you guys maybe were at a midpoint and where you're at now in your lead investment for personal production.
Yeah. So for leads, when we first started, we didn't, by no means did we start where we are now. But we did get, we understood the importance of it. Like you can't expect to sell something that you don't have. You can't expect to sit down and help people with insurance if you don't have clients to sit in front of. So for us, we didn't want to take any of Jake's income that he was making in his full-time job to use that, because that was our bill income. So for me, it was the income that I was using at making at the doctor's office. That's what we were investing into leads. And we started with a really, really modest lead budget. And we didn't start right away on a subscription, but we started doing instant purchases. So for us, I want to say the first instant purchase I made was about $1,000. And that was in some older B leads, C leads that Jara had. She, said, hey, I've got this big binder. Let's call it $1,000. We'll make it even. So I did have that money to invest. And we threw all of that at the leads, and quickly I made that money back. I don't want to say with my skill at that time, I wouldn't say I doubled it, but I definitely did make that money back plus some. So then I got in a subscription, and at that time I started 5 A leads a week. So I think at our contract level at that time, they were costing us like $25 a pop. So what is that? $125 a week on leads for a subscription. And then, mixing in some instant purchases in there as well. So quickly we did invest in leads. We weren't scared of it. Again, it made sense to us. Like we knew we needed people to sit with.
So I want to pause right. I want to pause. So first thing is because people come in from different places. Some people have zero money and maybe they get some more market sales. They use that, or maybe who's hired them is helping invest. So maybe you're starting with a zero to small pool and then you're jumping up. Some people are liquid and then they're willing to put something down, which also makes a lot of sense. You drop $1,000 down and say, here, if I've got enough of these, if I get 2 sales, I'm going to make this back, right? 2 or 3 sales, you're in the green on that. So I think that's a really, really powerful piece. And then you didn't shy away from reinvesting from there. So that was your start. Fast forward to now, what are you guys putting in on a weekly basis for your personal lead flow to get this, $20,000 a month in issued paid?
So we right now, like our lead bill last week was $1,100. So we're consistently at about $1,000 a week. So some people could look at that and say, wow, you guys should be more efficient. You guys should be doing $40,000 a month with your investment. And we can get better, but we haven't. But we don't mind it. We're spending $1,000 a week and we're still cash flow positive. We're in the green. And we've been at $1,000 a week lead flow since 2020, whenever we were doing the 40-40 stuff. So we've been, just on, that's not our, now we don't have override leads, but that's just our personal lead bill is right at about 1,000 a week.
Okay, there you go. So that's ramping that up. And I think if you're serious about being full-time, you probably need to be in that 500 to 1,000 minimum range. If you're going to be a player and doing something on a high level, they didn't start there. She started with her subscription at 125 a week, built it up, and now they're running that way, and they run a very profitable operation there. Okay. From there,
I think that one of the big things with scaling your business up is being kind of quick to scale it up, though, not on, I'm spending 125. No, taking whatever commissions you earn and then ramping it up the next week and the next week and so forth, and I think how you guys eventually got to 1,000 a week. So it's not a slow move unless you want to move slow, but we're not in the slow moving business. We're in the urgent, focused, ambitious business here at the Alliance.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you know where you need to get to lead flow wise, the faster you can get there and get your efficiency, because that's another thing. Having quality lead flow gets you more efficient time on booking appointments, which means you have less time required to book your appointments and more time to run. So now we've got you doing better with your skills, your lead investment. Next thing we see is, hey, where do people have to grow? It's in their referrals and reviews. How have you guys grown, or a couple of instances on either where you're good at secondary sales from your current clients that you're going back to, or you're getting referrals? What are things you've done to get better in that space?
Yeah, I remember Eric Belair, he asked a question, and I've started to ask our agents the same question, is if you had 2 rooms of people to go into, room A has 100 people that don't have life insurance. Room B has 100 people who do have life insurance already. Of the 2 rooms, if your goal is to write as much premium as possible, which room would you walk into? And me being brand new, I was like, well, the one that don't have it, because none of them have it. I'm going to sell it to all of them. And he's like, no, wrong. I think this is our classic. He said the people who have it already, because their belief level's already up here. They know they need it. They already have a high level of belief that insurance is something that they need. Why go in and try and convince people and sell them on having it if you've already got a whole group of people that already love it and they want it? So we started doing policy review. Truthfully, anyone who has one client, start doing policy reviews, because it is a game changer. People who buy insurance. We hammer it into the heads of all of our whole team, because, oh my gosh, one, are you doing the service of going back and being an agent, like an actual servicing agent? Our buddy Drew, his power question is, hey, when was the last time your agent came back and reviewed your policy? And they're like, never. And it's like, that's not good. Like, let's take a look at this. I'm your guy. Don't worry. So we do those every single week. We have staff between President's Club and our own staff. They're booking current client reviews for us. And from there, we're going back, having conversations with people, and they love it. It's funny. Some of them are going to play hard to get. Last week I had one, and she was like, why do we even have to do a review? Nothing changed. I'm not buying any more insurance. And then I get over there. She's the nicest thing ever. And she's like, you know what, Jake, I was thinking I need some more insurance. And I was like, well, good thing I didn't judge her, because she was straight up telling me not no, but heck no.
I think that's big. And so Jake was mentioning how a couple weeks ago, we just got after it and went and wrote $23,000 in premium. And I did the math. Out of like the $12,000 that I wrote that week, $11,000 of it came from current clients. $1,000 of my premium came from leads, because I fell on my face with leads that week, but current clients were there and they like me, they trust me. It was a conversation, and I got a few referrals out of it as well.
So a couple of thoughts on that. One is, if you understand the value of what you're doing, that you're building a book of business, and when you make the time to go back and serve that, that's another piece of scaling. You're scaling relationships that are going to continue to pay you as you treat your business and your client base like a business. It's massive. Go ahead, Noelle.
You just said the same thing I was going to say about scaling up the relationship. So sometimes an insurance contract, not in the alliance, but outside can be a transaction deal for an agent and that client. And as you know, as you're working with your clients, you know, they have policies sometimes where their agent never came back to review their policy, and they've had it for 10 years, right? So that's because that was a transactional deal. But when you can get to the point where you build a relationship and that trust so much that they're the person that will call you, they have a question, that will give you those referrals and that will let you review their policies, that's massive. I mean, it's money on the table, but it's also when you're doing the right thing for a client and building that relationship and not just calling them about that, but reaching out to them on their birthday, et cetera. You know, it's scaling that relationship to be a clients for life, friends for life.
Okay.
And we're going to talk more about this on Friday, by the way, because on the activity call on Friday, we're going to have Megan Wood at call, and she's going to be talking more about how she does secondary sales client reviews and so forth with her clients.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that because we're going to take you through Megan's history of going from 40,000 part-time to making 900,000 last year in her personal selling income. And so we'll kind of try to take some snapshots year by year over that growth of what she scaled. So if you have someone, or you are someone, or you have someone on your team, please make a note. Details of how Megan Wood scaled her business and what did it really look like in her first 90 days and that second year and third year, et cetera, to where she's at now. I think there's going to be some good teaching to come out of that. Along the way, the last piece is building your products and knowledge about the business. And I know Jake and Ray have learned a lot, but I'm just going to do a quick segue for those that are like with us and you're at a point of saying, here, I'm ready for the next challenge, or maybe you've been writing some annuities, you've been doing some IULs, you've brought in BAM on some appointments. What Andy was talking about last week on the educational trust seminars and the game changer that it's going to be for those that are ready for that. If you just started booking final expense leads last week, this may not be for you today, but I promise you we're laying a foundation. So whether it's in 3 months, 6 months, or a year, you're going to be ready. And there's no harm if you want to learn more and be on the cutting edge of knowledge. There's still, Tia just shared with me, there's still a few spots open for the March 22nd Trust Seminar education process. Education for us as agents on how to weave that in. And you might be thinking, hey, I'm not ready to do one of those big seminars, but I know that I've got clients that might benefit from a trust, and I might benefit from helping them and leading them, and I might learn more about their assets and be able to help them in more ways on the annuity and managed money side. So this seminar is not exclusively for someone that wants to do the seminar. Certainly that's going to be a big piece, but if you're like, man, I don't want to lose out. I see the train leaving the station, and I want to stay on that train. Hey, there's still a way you could get to that seminar, get your ticket booked. There will be a lot to come out of that. In fact, part of how you learn is you keep looking for live events that you can get to. You know, we're going to talk more about the View in a few minutes, but I'll also say, you know, we are planning in Louisville a big regional boot camp on Friday, March 8th, and it's kind of interesting. We had gotten Belle Krause and Emily Katz committed to be here. We did not know when we got that commitment from them that Belle was one of the people leading the charge in this process. So if you're like, gosh, I can't wait for March 22nd to learn some more, we're going to pull Belle aside and have her spilling more of the beans and talking more about what's working and what they've learned with the group that are here in Louisville on the 8th. So that link is up there on the ARC if you want to, on the Alliance events. So again, definitely get to Burlington on the 22nd. But if you're like, I need a little bit more faster, know that that's out there. We've got Chris Norris will be in here as well.
That does not replace anything that the Alliance is doing on the 22nd.
Yes. That is correct. It is like an appetizer if you need a head start. That's all. If you need an early mover advantage, tune in, but make sure you're there in Burlington. Okay, I want to switch gears and hit the scaling your business through overrides and building. And, because certainly if you're scaling your sales, your belief level, your confidence, your ability to train, having an edifiable example and selling it, so that's going to help you. So it's going to give you more cash to deploy. But coming back and let's get into the next slide to you, where we're kind of hitting what do the things look like when we're scaling on the building side. And in that, guess what? Same thing on the selling side. First thing you got to scale is your activity. You've got to do more inviting, more presenting. It's not going to happen if you're not putting in the work there. Noelle, do you want to talk anything about kind of things we did in the inviting and presenting side that you think stood out, or we'll get to Jake and Vray on this as well.
Well, I think as soon as we made the decision we were going to build, we started placing ads and talking to people and inviting people to come to a meeting. This is is this listed on there about traveling to see people? I don't know if it's on that list, but that's part of what we did too. We were traveling to go see people and inviting people. So we invested. What we did was we made enough money to pay our bills. We were on the leaderboards. We were never a top producer, but we took the money that we invested or made from that and we invested it back into, I need to find one more agent. I need to get one more agent. We would do meetings, house meetings. We would do meetings at the townhouse that we lived in, their conference center. So it was just talking to a lot of people to find a few winners. We were talking to somebody today about that. It's like we talked to a lot of people to find the ones that are ready, willing, and able to go now. And that doesn't mean that we don't help those other ones. It's just where do we need to scale our time and spend our time? So that's a big part of it. We made a lot of mistakes. But I think that goes along with building a business too.
Yeah. Jake and Vray, what are things that you've seen in terms of ramping up your interview and or marketing, activity along the building and recruiting side? Share with us a little bit about lessons you learned and the kind of activity you had to put in to develop yourself there.
Yeah, that's always been fun because it's definitely a longer played out game, but it's so much fun. It's been a blast. We've laughed, we've cried, we've ripped our hair out, we've celebrated. It's been a roller coaster, but it's so worth it because that's what we got into this for. We're talking about scaling up. The first thing that we did is I remember it clear as day. I remember Joseph Dukes gave me a call on my cell phone, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's Joseph Dukes. He's the guy with all the money in the email that I got sent. And I was like, he's calling me. And I talked to him, and he was like, hey man, how's it going? This and that. And he challenged us. He challenged both Bray and I. He said, hey, this is what I need y'all to do. What are you guys looking at? What are you guys wanting to do? And I was like, I want to build a business. I think this is really cool. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And he set the expectation, and then he clearly inspected it. He was like, I need 10 people. Make a list of 10 people and send it to me. And I was like, okay. And scaling, we each put up together our top 10 people that we knew. Those from high school or work or whatever. And the start of that scale as we started to rise was we didn't know anything. And I was just like, I knew I wanted to do this. I knew nothing. And it was just nice having that support of someone like Joseph Dukes, who had years of experience, was making money and knew how to sell and how to do this. And he just went in and he helped, call all of our people and ended up getting a couple from there.
You got 3 people licensed from that 20 people that he talked
about? I think we got 3 people licensed right off the bat. And a month later, our first convention, we had a couple with us. You guys remember them. And it just instantly created competition for us. So from the start, we were like, there's no way. He was one of the best men at my wedding. He was like, there's no way we're letting them pass us. So instantly it started a friendly competition, and we kind of got that blood. And the way we started scaling up is, we got to our first event and we were seeing people walking across stage. Obviously, we saw a bigger picture of your guys' organization and other top leaders. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. Look at how many people are here. Look at what this one couple or this one person started to grow. So instantly we came back and we started scaling up, continuing to talk to people we knew, investing in recruiting interviews.
We'll talk about recruiting just 1 second. I just want to, what you said about making a list of people you already know. That's a massive thing, because that's what Andy did in the beginning. That's how he found Alex Avian, and that's what Alex Avian did, and now he found Mike and I. And so I think that's just a big key. You already know people that love an opportunity. And if we just ask the question, we can find some really great people from that. And in the beginning, you don't know what to ask. You don't know how to ask them. Alex just said to me, hey, do you want to make some money? And I was like, yeah, I worked with him in a company, and he asked me that. And I was sure, yeah, let's go. But I think using your upline or your leader, your growing upline leader, to help you talk to people in the beginning is a great idea, because they might have questions that you might not be able to answer. But alongside your upline, learning how to talk to people, we're going to talk about presenting, but learning how to talk to those people about what we do, And one thing I was telling people last night, where was I? Greenville, South Carolina. By the way, plug for Charlotte tonight. I'm going to be doing some training and teaching there tonight. But I'm not trying to get people in this business. Like, we think of all these people that are our friends, and we think they would be really good at this, and we want to get them. Somebody said, I want to get this guy. And I'm like, I can't get my son to clean his room. I can't get anybody to do anything. But what we can do is we can invite them and ask them if they're open to hearing what we're doing. That's the biggest thing. So if we can switch our mindset from I'm going to get this guy to I'm going to invite this guy and ask this guy, I think that saves you a lot. We didn't mention it yet in this call, but there's emotional energy that you scale up, especially when you start building those relationships and those friendships. Your emotional energy goes up and scales up too. So if we can get that locked in, that I'm not going to get this guy, but I will ask this guy and see if he would like to join us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. In fact, this is probably a good time as we're talking about the activity, and then the activity is starting off in this inviting and presenting space. Go ahead to pull up our slide with the 5 skills of building. And I know when Mark really broke this down, it kind of helped me clarify the skills for somebody. So it's the next slide. There we go. All right. So the first one is inviting. The second skill is presenting, getting started, training, and promoting. So inviting within people that it's being able to have a conversation. Hey, Joe, working a program that's got leads. Our company's growing. We could use some help. We're assisting people and enrolling them in products, financial programs like mortgage protection or final expense life insurance or Medicare or retirement protection options and trusts. We are finding the people that want help in that. We could use some help. We're growing. Are you looking to make some more money? However it is, you're inviting people to look at what we're doing. And that might be within your warm market, or your inviting might be, I'm running ads and getting responses or doing some kind of marketing is the inviting. And then that brings us to the presenting, where we're explaining what we're doing, interviewing them to really get to know them if it's one-on-one. And then from there, if they're showing interest, knowing how to get them started. How do we get them started with getting licensed? How do we get them into selling? How do we get them, through the gauntlet to where now they're ready to run with leads? And how do we train them on investing more in leads? And then from there, how do we learn to promote the tools? Here's one of the crazy things that I've heard Andy say and Mark say. Coming on board, if you can be really good at inviting and really good at promoting, even if you can't sell worth a lick on leads to start with, if you can be a good inviter, a great inviter, and a great promoter, you can have a massive business. And in that space, I've seen people get their business off the ground being terrible at selling, but being good at inviting and promoting. And so I just just want people to see that. So if you feel like, oh my gosh, I am not on the leaderboard for selling yet, I don't know how to train somebody, relax. You can grow into those skills if you can just start on the inviting and promoting. You can have a really massive business, or at least get it started in that way. And then from there, develop your skills, but lean on the team like Jake did. As he and Ray leaned on Joseph Dukes for the training and getting started elements.
I think that's a big key. You don't have to know everything to start building your business. By the way, I have some background noise. I hope it's not picking up right now. But you don't have to know anything. That's where the system comes into play. That's where the team comes into play. That's where the hotspots come into play, where your upline comes into play. So don't feel like you have to know everything. If you get really good at inviting people, or I like to say, I was telling people the other day, last night, we're just door openers for people. We're opening the door. It's up to them to decide to come inside the room and see what we got going on, right? It's not our job to force them in, but it's our job to educate them about it. And then the ones that go now are the ones that want to go now, right? So that's one thing that I really appreciate that Alex Abian did for us, is he and I got licensed on the same day. He didn't feel like he had to know everything before he could building his business. I think that's the beauty of this too. And I'm grateful for that. I'm glad that we don't have to know everything, because gosh, I don't know we would be. So lean on the team, lean on the system, and lean on the staff at the Alliance and so forth to help you grow your business. By the way, plug for LPT, Lead Performance Team, and President's Club, because they'll help you with those things.
Yeah, that absolutely. So in this conversation, you just reminded me, as you're getting started, sometimes we get started with the activity and we don't see the results from the profit or the revenue on what we're building. So building may take a little while. It's not as instant a return, but the return is massive when you keep rolling. So I remember John Maxwell saying a long time ago, he said, it's so easy to overestimate what you can do in 90 days and be greatly disappointed. And just as that is true, the inverse is also true. It's very easy to underestimate what you can do in 3 to 5 years and be amazingly surprised. So having that mindset going in, and I think that's where we start to talk about the building. You definitely need this mindset of delayed gratification while you're scaling. And some people say, well, is that just talk to keep me around here and working and being disappointed? No. Any business that's had any massive scaling has had some level of delayed gratification. One of the best stories I know is probably sitting on your doorstep right now. My doorstep? Yeah, your doorstep. What's that? An Amazon package. Those Amazon packages wouldn't be coming to your house daily if Jeff Bezos didn't have the mindset of delayed gratification. They took the company public, and as they started with books, and then they started with other things and grew the business, everything was going back in the business. They were not profitable. And I can remember as someone reading the stories and understanding that stock and company in the early 2000s, even through 2010 or 11 or 12, every shareholders meeting, they would release their results. Not profitable yet. Slightly under profitable, And people would be like, when are you going to make us a profit? We bought shares of your company because we wanted to have, we want to see a profitable company. After a while, he's just like, guys, sell your shares. I don't care. Here's our vision. We're going to take over the world, and we're not going to be profitable while we're doing it. So shut up, stop your bitching, get with the program, or sell your shares. I don't care. And so if you're in the process of building a business and you're trying to build it massive, your delayed gratification and delaying the expectations of the higher profit, if that's what you want, you have to listen to Jeff Bezos as he says, quit your bitching, get with the program, and let's dig in. Now, that's if you want something big. That's part of the mindset you've got to develop. And there were phases in our business where we had to go through that. Yeah, we go to Super Bowls and we travel around the world and we do all sorts of crazy stuff now. We did not do that as we were taking our income from $100,000 to $1 million a year. We way pushed back on that. Noelle, any bit or story you want to share on that, or something that you know we did intentionally or delayed going through that?
We delayed everything. People didn't understand what we were doing. Like, our friends would invite us to parties or events or birthday parties or things like that, and we delayed that. It's delayed getting things, but it's also delaying the time, because that time we were pouring back in business. So we didn't buy a home right away. We didn't buy cars or pocketbooks. We didn't buy anything. We didn't have anything hanging on our walls when we moved into our townhouse. We poured everything back in our business. When I say we paid the minimums on our bills, we paid the minimum on our bills. And we put everything back into growing a passive override income. Because that's what we knew that we wanted. That's what we knew that if one of us got hurt or sick, that we could lean back on later. And we're not stopping that. We still delay. Like, I would love to go out and buy a car right now, but I'm using that money and pouring it into traveling and seeing and leads and helping. See what I'm saying? So I don't know that it ever kind of goes away, but you still have, when you have a river of money coming in and out, you have more choices to where you spend it. But if you spend your first paycheck on, getting out of credit card debt, I mean, that's an honorable thing to do, but that money's gone. And so what do you do now for your next paycheck and the lead? So you got to ramp up, but we delayed everything. We bought a lot of leads. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
To build a passive income, we bought a lot of leads.
To scale it big, we invested back in a lot of leads, and we'll hit other tools that we hit on. Recruiting tools, I know Jake and Ray, y'all mentioned certainly reaching out to your warm market was some of the first tools that y'all used. What are some of the tools that you like now that you're using that's helping you find good people? And, as you're where are you putting money back to get results and finding people for your team?
Yeah, I think, I'm going to jump straight into that, but I think with you guys talking about the whole Amazon thing and what you guys did, and a quick story that I hopefully it helps some folks, because it turned our business and really we started to see the hockey stick growth. Was we thought we were pretty proud of ourselves when we were able to tell Andy that we had $50,000 stocked away in the bank from insurance money. We were sitting at the Dallas Cowboys Jerry Jones suite looking over the practice field in Dallas. And never forget that conversation, because it was just cool. The atmosphere was awesome, just insane. Here are two kids from Rio Rancho, haven't really come from much money, and here we are, a couple years later, being able to experience stuff like that. And I almost wish the call was recorded, because I know for a fact he called you guys up after that and talked to you guys about a couple of things, because I remember you guys lit us up afterwards. And I remember within a couple of weeks, I might have been pretty emotional calling Mike, not wondering how I spent $15,000 in a single week or 20 grand in a week, spending money in our business. To be clear, we were spending money on, personal development and hiring staff and doing stuff with office. And you know what? It was in the summertime, and by fall, I know we started qualifying for manager promotions. We hit agency manager, and then from then it just started snowballing, having our biggest months of, production outside of our own personal pen. And it was just funny how when we dropped a ton of money and we just started delaying gratification and we just poured so much back into our business, how we were we started to buy overrides. It was insane. So I'll never forget that part. But things on the recruiting side, again, our warm market list is continuing to grow. we're starting to come across people that we never even thought of, that are coming from the woodwork. So we haven't stopped talking to people that we know. All the parents from our girls' sports, we're starting to have conversations with them, which is really cool. Because it's like, hey, it's one more way. Obviously, they're successful. They got their kids in club sports, so they're doing something right, But yeah, using your guys' services of us getting licensed interviews booked. We've got ZipRecruiter ads from President's Club that we're running, and then continuing to work in depth. So everything works a little bit, yeah.
And then we have staff that books interviews for us. So that way our calendars are full, making sure, we're trying to ramp him up. So he's now capable of doing interviews himself and sounding better on the phone. But just everything, again, like Jake said, everything works a little bit. We're not focused on one thing. We're just trying to, okay, how can we get more people in our calendar, more people that we're talking to on a weekly basis?
Big. Okay. And
that conversation with Andy that you had, that conversation with Andy that you had from the Dallas Club, I think that I don't know. Do you think that was the point that really kind of switched your mindset or switched your business in terms of taking the cash flow and using it to grow your business, not on silly trill things, but to grow your business? It's awesome to have money in the bank, but it's sitting in the bank. It's not working for you, but you see that mindset shift that you had to scale up your business. Do you think that was the starting point for you?
I definitely would say that was a huge starting point for us. And it wasn't like, when I look back, Jake and I, we've never been spenders. Like I look and, our staff drives nicer cars than us, and our agents drive nicer cars than us. We have a 2007 Pontiac and a 96 Dodge on the side of the house. So we never took that money and spent it on other things. It was just, we were savers, right? Like we needed to save. So I don't think we were spending money on stupid things, but it was just as stupid to not be putting that money back into growing our business. So that conversation absolutely was a game changer for us.
Yeah. We can't learn how to be rich from our school teachers who are making, no offense, $36,000 a year, what have you. Makes a lot more sense to be learning from right here making $100,000.
Andy, all right.
Andy, he makes sense.
So another tool that we point out to, so once you start learning the recruiting and you start to get your skills, is developing what we call leads under management, or even simply a culture of investing in leads. So whether it's you've got to start somebody that doesn't have a lead budget and help them dig in, and you're pouring into them to say, yeah, this works here. Maybe they have an employee mindset, but cultivating the mindset of reinvestment, and then helping to get them to have a steady flow and steady supply of leads so they can have a steady business. So it's one thing, yeah, you've got to be doing it yourself, but then are you developing a culture of people that are understand, for me to get big, for me to earn 100, 200, 300,000 a year as an agent, I'm going to have to invest in leads. Are you having those conversations? Jacob, I don't know if you have a specific person, or whether you want to mention their name or not, somebody that you feel good about. Go ahead, Noelle.
Before we get to them, why don't you share our story of investing in leads when we were growing, when we were full-time growing this, and how that helped us really ramp up our business.
That is a good time for this. Okay, and I think as a caveat, leads and tools and systems have changed, but the concept of leads has always been there. So sometimes you hear us talk about a lead type or price point, and it's maybe not as currently relevant, but the mindset certainly is. So in 2004, yes, that was 20 years ago, we had just found, Andy had just discovered an optimal way.
You have to give them the dates and keep telling them 20 years, Mike.
I know, but
we're not that old.
I know, it's crazy. We were 16 years old when we started. Okay, so as we're there, Andy's like, hey, we've got a way to optimize our mortgage protection mailings. That was our number one lead source, was direct mail. He says, we can go to this core research model, but we have to be all in on it. I said, well, what do we got to do to turn it on here in Louisville, Kentucky, Jefferson County, where we're living? He said, well, we can't turn it on for just the county, but we can turn it on for the state. I was like, okay. He said, so here's the deal. If you can commit to grabbing all the leads that we can create for the state, we'll turn it on for the state. So basically, that would be like you looking at the current lead map and saying, yeah, okay, I'll turn on a subscription for the whole state. Now, mind you, the lead cost wasn't as high back then because of postage and response rates. But bottom line is, leads started to come in. And they were coming in direct to us. And at first it started because we would get the paper copies. It would come in a FedEx or UPS pack. And at first, the UPS might have had, I don't know, 40 or 50 leads in it. Then it would be like, oh my gosh, this thing is getting full. Then it would be like, so they almost like had to duct tape it sealed because they were stuffing as many as they can. Then we started getting weeks where there's 2 UPS packs filled with leads. We didn't have the agents to run them. And our lead bill weekly started to get into the $7,000, $8,000, $10,000, $11,000 a week. Now we had a choice. We could turn tail and run. When military, they say go tango uniform. Okay. And you can ask your military buddies what that stands for. Okay. Dying cockroach position. Or we could buck up. And that was kind of a moment. We talk about different moments. It was at that moment that we said, okay, we got you. We said we'd handle it. And we forced ourselves to recruit at a pace we'd never recruited at before. And we forced ourselves to scale up to meet the problem or opportunity. You could have looked at it either way. We have a problem. Or, holy crap, this is a hell of an opportunity. And to be honest, Noah and I probably looked at it as a problem and whined to ourselves. We never whined to Andy. I think that's one of the things we've never like, whoa, what are you going to? No, we made the commitment. We had to be big boys. And, we got some tips on recruiting. Hey, you got some tips for us. But we never went and said, can we back down? Blah, blah. We just said, okay, we got it. And it was painful because we were cash flow negative for about 12 weeks as we got our recruiting up to handle the lead flow that was coming in. And so we put ourselves in that position, but looking back, as much as we hated it, we're grateful because we took our business. See, we had hit $173,000 in revenue in 2003. And we went from 173 to 400,000 in 2004, but most of it was in the back half of the year. So in 2005, we hit 600,000 in revenue. In 2006, we hit 900,000 in revenue. In 2007, we hit $1 million in revenue. But a lot of it was because of that crazy commitment/mistake or commitment to lead flow that forced us to take our recruiting at this high a level that created the momentum that really led the way for the next 3 years. So again, scaling. Sometimes it happens because you're lucky. Sometimes it happens because you're good. Sometimes it happens because you're ignorant and stupid. For us, I guess a combination of luck and stupidity and ignorance kind of fueled it, and we backed it up by work. But that was a big thing for us. And again, it's like we were talking to people about paying for leads. It's like, man, we got some great leads. You would like these. Because we had them. So, and our goal is to turn it to production, which we did. All right. So, Jake and Ray, any thoughts on leads, promoting agents, helping them get started with leads and creating that culture of investment?
Yeah, I think we look at our organization, let alone the entire company, right? And you see you hear it time and time again when leads are talked about. You go ask any top producer, anyone in the top 10, top 20, top 50, people who are earning trips. We can put it that way too. Anyone who's earned a trip, they're spending money on leads consistently. It's not like a one-time thing and then come back. No, it's every week they have a subscription turned on. And just looking at our own team, Sherry Teal's a great example. You'll see if you pull up the leaderboard right now, I know our up-to-date one, she's numero 9 since we're going to Mexico next year. That's 9 for anyone who doesn't know Spanish. She's number 9 on the leaderboard. And we know Sarah, she's a part of the Cypher organization with Sarah and Pablo. And Sherry just turned it up. She was like, I'm going to double down and go from 300 to 600 a week in leads. she said, I'm leaving hygiene behind. I'm going to go put $600 a week in leads, and it's showing, because she will be #1 rookie of the year this year. She's climbing the leaderboards. We've got our good friend Georgina in Lubbock, Texas. She's coming on strong. She flipped a switch. She doubled down on her lead investment, and in the last, she runs 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off with her little babies at home, and she's number 11 on the once. That's Spanish for 11. She's number 11 in the country for Cabo right now, and in the last 7 days, she had written 9 apps for just under $9,000 in premium, and they're both spending money on leads. Could be a surprise for those of you who don't know it yet, but quickly learn that the more you spend in leads, the more money you're going to make. So we're talking to our people, and our leaders that we have are talking to their people about, hey, what are some targets you want to hit? What do you want to accomplish? I think one of the easiest things for us to do is talk about the next trip, talk about Cabo. Hey, if you're brand new, you go to all the events, you get this many bonus points. We take, hey, they need 100,000 in marketing credits. We divide that by how many months they want to get it done in. And then we just make sure they're spending enough money on leads. And from there, we just make sure they have enough appointments in their schedule and go.
So what happens is you become, what you're almost talking about, it's part training, but part of it's the skill of promoting is what y'all are using to help them, right? And so if we go back to those 5 skills of building, Tia, and we look at that 5th one, promoting, here's what promoting is. It's helping somebody understand what they need to do in such a way that they do it. Okay, be clear. It's helping somebody understand what they need to do in such a way that they do it. Because I'll ask people, I say, hey, did you tell them about the TWC with Andy Albright yesterday? Well, yeah, I told them. I said, were they on? Well, no. Well, how did you tell them? Well, I told them in a group text. Okay, that's not promoting. That's passing along the details. Promoting is picking up the telehopper, the phone, having a call. That's why I texted them individually. That's a nice step. Did you call them and have a conversation and help them understand why it's in their best interest, what they're going to learn, and why they need to carve out the time, and what obstacles might they have that they need to clear so they can tune into the call? Now, somebody last week probably heard about the content and said, oh, I'll catch it on the replay. Guess what? That one wasn't replayed. It was such a valuable call, we don't want our competition seeing it, so that one wasn't replayed. That one's not available in the YouTube library. Sorry about your luck, Chuck. Congratulations if y'all caught last Wednesday's TWC and last Friday's activity call live. Don't always assume, well, they're going to make it available for me one-on-one and coddle me and cater to me. No, I'm sorry, we can't always do that. Okay, that might have sounded harsh to some of you, but hopefully you're understanding the value of promotion. Okay, so promoting leads under management as you're scaling up personal production. You've got your recruiting and building. Holy cow, I'm running out of time in a day. Noelle, what's the next big thing we got to do or that we got to grow so we can buy time back?
Well, we got to grow our staff. We got to find people to help us on our staff and delegate some of those things that are not income producing activities to other people. Our first staff person that we hired was somebody that would watch our kids, our little ones. That was a staff person. Yeah, that was a staff person. They watched our little kids when we were in the townhouse. They were on the main level and we were in the base, Mike and I, making phone calls, setting up our schedules, talking to agents and so forth. So we hired somebody to do that. And then we hired people to come and, clean the house. We hired people to do our laundry. So some of those things that take our time, we hired that away initially. And then we hired our staff person to come in and help us with pending, because Mike wanted me to do pending and I don't do pending. So we got somebody else to take care of that. And at first it was a couple hours a week, maybe it was 10, 15, 20 hours a week. And then we ramped that up, and then we hired another person to help us with recruiting and talking to agents and so forth. So it was a ramp up in the beginning for us, but staff, delegating time to other people that on things that you really don't need to be doing, because that's not going to create the income, but you can hand it off to somebody else. I was talking to the team last night in Greenville about this. There are A activities. Those are the most important in producing activities in this business, making phone calls, working with agents, working with clients, recruiting. Those are A activities. But there are B activities in this business too, like pending or calling a carrier about an issue or things like that, that you hand off to other people. And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to do that kind of thing, but hiring staff, that's the big key. We're looking for some more people, by the way. If you know any in or around Louisville, give them my name and number. We are looking to hire a couple more people in our office right now.
Absolutely. Jake and Ray, what's one of the biggest lessons as you guys, or even experience, or the lesson, something you've seen as you've been working on growing and building a staff?
Slow down to speed up. I think when I think of staff, we've never been afraid to do it. And Andy Riddle's calls have really been helping my mindset anyways, these last couple of weeks, the ones that he was having, and how he was talking with Rojas and Michelle, just about how investing in leads, that's, to be clear, it is an investment, but it's not an investment in your business, right? That's an investment in your really high paying sales job. So for me, just really thinking of that, it's slowing down to speed up and making sure that we have quality staff. We've had some quality staff, we've had some not so quality staff, right? So it's just using Jason Mathis's, question that he asks himself every time is, does this person, I'm about to submit payroll, is this person making my life easier? Like, do they deserve to be on payroll or do they not? And so just really slowing down to speed up there. But then also just not being afraid, right? You can't slow down so much that you're not going to do it, over analyzing things. So I think for us, it's just finding quality staff and just finding more quality staff and building our business. And for our team, after Riddle's call, I really had to ask myself, and it's not our team's fault, it's our fault. It's like, nobody's investing in their business on our team right now. Yeah, we've got people investing in leads, and we might have a couple of agents investing in ZipRecruiter, but that's something that we had to really kind of digest and say, why isn't our team growing as fast as we want? Well, we have nobody investing in staff yet, right? So that's a yet, to be clear. People are starting to dabble with ZipRecruiter and whatnot, but just really being the example and leading from the front of just, hey guys, we have to get on the same page here. We all have to have staff. We all have to be delegating things that are not important to us. That's what's been going through my head these last couple of weeks.
Delegating, or things that are important but lower dollar value. And, when we bought our house, I remember asking the guy that we bought it from, said, hey, who cuts the lawn? He said, the guy's name's Pat. I said, perfect. Give me his contact, because he still has a job. And so since the time we bought our first house, it's been the same guy that still takes care of our landscape and our lawn. I haven't cut a blade of grass. Don't intend to, right? That's something some people like to. I don't. And it's like I can pay somebody else and use that time for growing my business, or having fun with my family, or whatever else is important to me. So learning how do you delegate, whether it's somebody that's got a role that's a vendor that you're using, or somebody that's an employee. Now, as you start to grow staff, they were coming to our townhouse. But as we grew, we're like, ooh, this is getting uncomfortable. It's like we needed to create some separation from our house as our business was growing. And so our
family was growing too.
Family was growing too, yeah. So it was just like, ooh, so we bought the house, and that's where we're taking the business out of the house and into an office space. And so we found a space that was close to our house, so we didn't have a commute. It was like 4 miles away. That worked out. We've since outgrown that space, and because we've used IULs, we were able to leverage our IULs to purchase a building about 2.5 years ago. And so, again, the cash that we were paying to a landlord, and we now have an office space, and we're leveraging that, and we own that and building up more equity there. So that's been another phase of that growth of just building our empire and what we're doing. But Jake and Ray, kind of what are some of the learning things you've gone through as you recently, well, I know the story, but I'll let you guys share about office space and some of the steps you've taken even more recently.
Yeah, it's been a solid 2 years since we've had office space. And when it first started, the team was building and we had our staff in our house, and then we started having agents come over to the house, and Vere was like, all right, the girls' rooms is like right down the way.
They were peeing all over the toilet and pissing me off. I'm
not too sure how comfortable I am with this continuing on the way it is. So we were like, all right, well, we need another business right off, and we need to start ramping up and starting to think long term. So we found an office space. Noelle, you actually, the first time we saw it, you were with Vere, and you guys went in and you helped us make the decision and start to give ideas of what it could look like. And, hey, I'll just be honest. Right when we started, it wasn't exactly the way we thought it was going to be. For the longest time, it was myself, Vere, and our staff. And then we started hiring more staff, and then agents started coming around and using it. And then it would go away, and then it would come back. And, we ended up investing in a larger space so that way we could provide, because we started to realize, wow, Albuquerque's growing. We have more people coming on. Well, we're going to need a more effective space the way it was set up, and we're going to need more space, just straight up. We need more square footage. So we started looking around, and we ended up finding the place that we're in now. And it's just so cool on Mondays and Thursdays when, I look out my door and we've got 3 direct legs that are each renting their own space, and they're bringing in their agents, and they're starting to bring in staff and so on. It's just exciting to see that. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. We thought it was going to be like that right from the get-go. And like you said, Mike, we can easily underestimate what we can do in a couple of years. And now it's gotten to the point where we're like, damn, we might need another space. We probably going to have to get bigger, And so just having that vision and sticking with it to create something bigger that everyone can join in on. So we're here every Monday and Thursday. Well, we're here almost every day of the week, but Monday, Thursday, dialing. Leads are flying. People are booking appointments.
Real quick, as you've been building, your override income has grown. We were talking right before the call. What's your monthly override income running at right now the last couple months?
Right now we're doing over $12,000 a month override income.
$12,000 a month in override income. So again, that's and that's growing with everything that y'all got happening. It's that's crazy to see. Back end money, renewals building, earning other commission level increases going to grow your spread. It's oh my gosh. It's hey, I'm watching what they're doing, and it wouldn't surprise me to see them go from their run rate of about, 25,000 a month right now, which, okay, you figure, hey, 25,000 a month, that's a 300,000 a year run rate. But taking that and going and being at, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 a month by year end and moving into a $500,000 income, if not this year, then definitely be on that run rate to surpass that in 2025. So
they'll do it this year. They're going to do it this year.
That's right.
So we don't want to hold you back on that thinking. So office space is going to be another part of your journey. And here's the thing. You start where you are with bootstrapping and making something happen. You start bootstrapping and just okay, how am I going to make this work and be creative? For us, it was in our townhouse and leveraging the business center / clubhouse that we had. Then it was an office space. Then it was upgrading the office space. You might, in fact, at one point when we just had our house, the townhouse we would even use for a big meeting. We found one of those communal office space things where they had a conference room we could get to and could get a deal on that was close by. But it was always, how do we improvise and adapt as we were going and keeping it low cost but effective. Next big thing we didn't put on the list, but we made a note of it, is as we started finding people and building relationships, and it's kind of what Noelle's been doing this week. Noelle, what's the next big thing we had to invest in to scale up our organization?
Traveling to continue to build relationships and serve agents in other parts that we were hiring in, and going to visit with them, breaking bread with them, and helping them goal set, but also helping them plan. And that's what I've been doing this week, being in 3 cities this week. That's what Andy taught us to do, and we're just doing more of that. So yeah, traveling to go and serve and see people is massive. It's a massive deal. I can't tell you how many people were thanking me just in the days I've been out here just for coming, because people are hungry for what the Alliance has, and they're hungry to learn. The right people, the ones that show up, we don't worry about the ones that don't show up. You invite, it doesn't matter. But we just continue to invite people in. We're going to find some really great people that go out and serve and that are excited about us coming. So, yeah, traveling, investing in that.
Jake and Ray, give us a story or something fun that's happened from a travel experience as you guys have been learning to get out there and serve folks.
Yeah, we started doing that right around that time, that kind of turning point. Started spending more money, flights and hotels, and buying leads and going and just being in the trenches with agents, just like what you were saying, Noelle, and what you've done, Mike. Just recently we were out in I guess it was like kind of 2 cities. We were in Atlanta and then going up to Chattanooga, Tennessee. We got our buddy Jake that's coming on board super quick here. And just being able to, because we're in a relationship business again. We're in insurance, but the biggest thing is to build relationships, and to be able to go and be in the trenches with one of our teammates and show him how to work, and be able to build a relationship, with his wife and his kids. We had a ton of fun going out to eat and just spending that time. It's truly starting to build up to where Andy talks about in any major city, he can fly in and he's got a friend that can go and welcome him there. And it's just exciting to see as we're doing more and we're getting further into our business, that it's looking like that.
And I'm just even excited.
You talked about that. Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead. You're good.
No, I was just going to say, so, we're traveling to see agents, we're hiring all over the country. And then it's cool because we have a volleyball tournament coming up for Raina, this next week. And it's in Marcus Richardson's backyard. And I'm just super excited because we build friendships and relationships. And we're going to be it's Marcus's birthday on March 8th, you guys. I didn't know that. He texted me, but we're going to be getting brunch with him. And it's just exciting. Like it gives us, okay, cool. We're there for the volleyball tournament. We're looking forward to that. Now we get to see some of our Alliance family, and who better to learn and grow from than Marcus and Carla Richardson, right? So just super excited about that as well.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Those relationships. One thing that Jake reminded me of, as we were talking about this on our team call last week, was Joseph Dukes, Mike, and I would travel to Albuquerque for years and years growing the team. Sometimes people would be there, sometimes there wouldn't be anybody there. But out of that came Jake and Beret, Sarah, Amanda, and all the great people that we have now in Albuquerque area, whereas before, 5 years ago, there wasn't really many people or any people there at all, or 10 years ago. And so we were talking about that on our call. So when you go out and serve, it may not be as fast as you want it to be, but it'll be, and you're persistent and consistent with it and developing those relationships along the way. It might come up in another area, who knows, but it always comes up at some point. So there's planting seeds across the country. It's cool.
Yeah. I'm going to close out with a couple thoughts. We've got a couple more things we could share, but I'm hoping if you've been listening, you understand this concept of scaling. And as Jake and Ray talked about traveling, go out and seeing people, traveling to see people is easy to do. It's easy not to do. Meaning that, okay, in fact, I should say, we have a lot of video training. It's easy to jump on a Zoom, but it's easy to pretend that you're jumping on. It's easy to have something going on in the background and not giving it your full attention. When you're face to face with somebody, you are more focused. People value that. And so now you can't go see everybody all the time just because they sign up and got in class, but you learn, who do I go spend more time with? And then we are using that as a model to say, hey, if you got something out of this, like for everybody that's in Charlotte today that sees Noelle, that saw her in Greenville yesterday or Columbia, if they're here today, my message to you is, please, I hope you value what you got from 2 or 3 hours with Noelle, because if you got some value out of that, imagine what you can get by being with us at The View in Raleigh. Okay, we can't create that for you, but we can give you like a little dropper taste of what the bucket full is when you get around for 3 days of immersion. So if you're here and you're thinking, should I be there? Yes, you should. You need to be. Your business depends on it. Your ability to scale your business depends on it. And anybody on your team, their ability to scale their business depends on being there. So guys, we're so excited to continue this theme on Friday with Megan Wood and showing her path from 0 to 40,000 to a couple 100,000 to 900,000 a year in income from her personal sales. We're going to break that down and talk about what she did to scale stuff. Excited to see you back here. Appreciate Jake and Bray, Noelle being here. And hey, it's not too late to get some to go see Noelle in Charlotte kicking off in an hour. Catch y'all later.